You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now, the Northern Governors Forum has called for calm following the killing of Deborah, a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education, over alleged blasphemy. Chairman of the forum and Governor of Plateau, Simon Lalong, said the forum is concerned about the situation in the state, noting that any attempt to adopt self-help is addressing grievances, whether religious or otherwise, could lead to further chaos. The forum commiserates with the family of the victim, Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, and appealed that security agencies be allowed to thoroughly investigate the matter. In the meantime, the detachment of combined team of security personnel, including men and officers of the Nigerian military, have been deployed to ensure compliance to the 24-hour curfew imposed on the state by Governor Aminu Tambuwal. And also, an Islamic cleric, Ahmed Gumi, has condemned the killing of Deborah Emmanuel, saying the Holy Prophet did not kill those who insulted him during his lifetime. Speaking during a religious teaching class at the Sultan Bello Mosque in Kaduna, the Islamic cleric said the Prophet did not avenge the insults targeted at him by non-Muslims because he did not want to be tagged as a killer. Mr. Gumi said no one is allowed to take laws into his or her hands in Islam, adding that the best way Muslims can show love is by obeying the teachings of the Prophet. He added that no religious law can be applied in Nigeria since the country is a secular state. Meanwhile, the remains of Deborah has since been laid to rest in her hometown in Tunga Mejia in Rijal local government area of Niger State. And joining me to discuss this is a strategy consultant, Deborah Emmanuel of Zoom, and public affairs analyst, Razak Olukoba. Let me start with you in the studio, Razak Olukoba. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Breakfast. Well,
good morning, viewers at home.
Yeah, just like I read just now, the remains of Deborah Emmanuel has been laid to rest in her hometown in Niger State. There have been lots of reactions trailing her killing. What's been your assessment of this situation?
Well, it's very painful and traumatizing. I know that there are two angles to it. One, the contemporary perspective and the spiritual perspective. The contemporary perspective in the sense that there's a growing culture of violence in the world today, which has fueled what has happened. Then there's that spiritual angle to it. You remember very clearly that when issues like this happen, there's always tagged a fatwa. But on this note, blasphemy has not been committed. It's not like Salman Rushdie, a 74-year-old person, British-American novelist, who wrote that book called The Satanic Verses. Rushdie was adamant in 1988. And by 1989, Ayatollah Khomeini passed what is called a fatwa on him, that anywhere he is in the world, he should be killed. But on the Deborah's issue, an adboss is not a position. An adboss can be, is that your position? You say, what do you mean by that? So when you are misinterpreted, you can reverse it. So Deborah's is an adboss. If you listen to the clip, is an engagement on their WhatsApp group, and there was an adboss, and he said, no, that's not me, I'm not blaspheming my member. So it has not been committed. But because of the nature of the young people in the world today, of being violent, then the misconception about, among the Islamic community, there's that argument about violent Islamic preaching, which is what the Boko Haram has embraced. Even we that were regular Muslims, we are always very wary of such a thing. But by and large, we are in a country where we have not been able to resolve our identities, religious identities, for us to determine a moment of caution. Because if you admit that we are a country of numerous ethnic groups, numerous religious groups, automatically, anywhere you are holding discussion, there will be that moment of caution. The Buddha is not at fault. He lived and grew up to hear people saying that this is one Nigeria. But it's our fault as parents, as a nation, where we did not educate national orientation. We have encouraged them severally that this notion that it will keep bumping into each other. The moment we discuss our differences, that is we guide. for us if we want to relate with each other. I will know that once I'm leaving Yoruba land, I'm going to a completely different region. I've gotten the education from my parents, but you say we should not discuss it. And that's not a good thing. That is what will enable you to understand that the liberal nature, which is not the language I'm supposed to be using. You are supposed to define a language for what the Christian religion looks like, because some people say, what do you mean by liberal nature? So that if you want to call Muslim the extreme nature, we'll say, no. You must define a language to describe the Christian nature and Islamic nature. So your parents will have told you that we are Christians. Muslims, these are their do's and don'ts if you want to relate with them. The Muslim will also say, the Christians don't have problem with social issues. These are issues, but don't cross this band. So, and we are going about in the country today. If you come to the Southwest and you put dagger as a part of your dress mode, it's wrong. This is not your religion.
It's not.
If you and Britain today, that's why it's called the United Kingdom. We are scared in Scotland, and you are laughing at them. You may not come back with your life, not you, but the person will run into problem. Even in Yoruba life, if you wear hat to the in-laws' house, it's an insult. But in a region, that is the higher mode of dressing. So we need to understand some of these perspectives so that we understand ourselves better. Why do we speak different language in the United Nations? It's because we are different. In Europe, half of the language comes from a source. But there's that line of demarcation that no. So that you will know when you are crossing a line, things like this are bound to happen again. And the way to say bye-bye to it is to first admit that we are a country of different ethnic groups, we are a country of different religion, we are a country of different culture. If we do that, naturally, the natural sense of caution will be on us. We will understand how Igbo man and Yoruba man will relate. Up to today, we still have a problem on how to relate to each other. And it's this notion that we should not admit that we are not one. It does not. It's not a limitation.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, some are already.
There's nothing wrong in saying that we are not one.
Some are already blaming our forefathers and also Lord Lugard, saying why did they even initiate amalgamation in the first place? That one section, one region, is not supposed to be merged with another region.
That's a discussion for.
Yeah, we know that Nigeria is a plural society, so much so that a religious law of any faith can be applied to another person, and we can't say this country we practice Sharia and it has to be Sharia all over the nation. We know that we've got our own ground norm, which is the Nigerian Constitution. But talk to us how our religiosity has affected our national development, because when you believe certain thing and I believe the other way, we are not coming to a round table, rallying at a point to chart a path for development of the nation.
You are the one understanding religion. Saudi is a religious country now, but so also Israel is a religious nation. But the approach to religion from these two different countries, of course, Nigeria is the 5th most populated Islamic religion in the world. We are the 5th. Indonesia, India, Pakistan, and then we are the 5th. It's also Nigeria. Nigeria has high concentration of Christians. But when you have over 100 million people who are Muslims, you have 100 million people who are Christian, you have to discuss it. The whole question of it's the beginning of a problem. When you go to America and you are moving from one region to region, the laws are different, and it's informed by their culture. So in Nigeria, it is our fault if religion has been a negative thing on us because of the way we have handled it. We have not handled it very well. If I want to live with my neighbor who is not the same tribe with me, we have to understand each other. I don't want to offend you. I know you are an Igbo man. We must understand. But when neighbors don't talk to each other, we will keep repeating this step over and over and over again. So for Deborah and our young people, it's not their fault. National Orientation Agency, even look at what we watch every day on our national television, NTA. You see different culture, and you turn back around to say that we should not discuss our differences. That's a complication. That's a contradiction. So for Deborah and the likes of her, in order to promote peace and harmony in Nigeria, the earlier we begin to admit that we are different and understand each other.
All right. Well, let me bring in a strategy consultant, Deborah Emmanuel, who has decided to rather join us in the studio. I was thinking you'd be coming via Zoom, but you decided to come in physically. So
good morning.
You've been good morning to
Yes.
you. You've been following this, development since it broke on Thursday.
Yes.
What has been your reading of this incident?
Well, the first reaction is it is very unfortunate and it was very unnecessary. Even though we may have differences in culture and religion, tolerance should be at the heart of everything, either we like it or not. So saying that maybe someone doesn't understand how you operate in your religion or your culture, the first thing, the humane thing to do is to show tolerance. Because either we like it or not, even for people who even understand where we're coming from, even members of the same family, you have siblings who sometimes you have issues with. You were raised by the same father, the same mother, same religion, same culture, same tribe. You have issues with them. Do you pick a stick and beat them to death? Do you lit them on fire? And it's not the first time we're seeing such incidents happening in that part of the country. I think it was early 2000s when we were supposed to have Miss World in Nigeria. I'm sure you remember that incident very well, where there was a fatwa declared on a journalist because she wrote an article. Till today, she's not able to return to Nigeria. She's still in exile. She was smuggled out of the country overnight like a political despot. So where are we going as a nation? Where are we going as a nation? This has to stop, because at the very heart of it, it is just being cruel and inhumane to your fellow human being. Religion or culture aside, it is just being bloodthirsty with the mask of being religious. There is no place for such behavior in civilized society. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? We had a young man lit on fire in Lagos because of issues around change of 100 naira or something like that. Now that is a life that has been lost. That is a son that has been killed. That's
generation
possibly
that has been taken.
a father. That's a future that has been robbed us. That has been robbed his family. When are we going to stop all of this nonsense? And either we like it or not, most of these things still fall back on the part of the government, because the question is, what has been the response of government at various levels, at the state level, at the federal level? The police said, okay, one of them is from Niger Republic. They can't find him in Sokoto. I mean, that was quite...
No, they denied that he said that. They denied that he said that.
They denied that. They said that. Okay, but I'm glad they denied that. But the question is, where are all the perpetrators? Have they been arrested? And for me, I see the challenge on two fronts, on the micro and macro level. On the micro level is the perpetrators. But for me, on the macro level is that there were actual protests to free these guys that committed this crime. Now, that for me tells me that there are a lot of people who genuinely believe in what they did. That for me is a problem. Now, this was an organic movement. I do not believe they were paid, but they hit the streets, were burning buildings, burning properties, damaging things. There were two ladies that were still beaten almost to death while the process was going on. And we're talking about issues of insecurity and all of these other factors. Either we like it or not, if we do not address these things and address them decisively, we will keep having these conversations in our society, and it will just be a very unfortunate place for us to be as a nation.
Well, so what does this say about spiritual leaders? I'll come to you. What does this say about spiritual leaders who, either in any of the Abrahamic faith, Christian, Islam, Judaism as well, they have a book, they have a code, they have the Bible, they have the Quran, and they will preach something that is quite different from the tenets, the dictates of the other books. To what end do they do that? Because now you see this issue, you've got different opinions or different interpretations by different Islamic scholars who are saying, no, this is what the Quran says. And others are saying, no, this is what it says. So what are we doing to our own followers?
Exactly, and I was going to allude to the religious leaders as well, that at their level, I believe the people that can hold them the most accountable are their colleagues. Because if you're preaching something that is against what your holy book says, there is no way that your colleagues will not be aware of it, because you have members who engage other members, and then these things go round. Okay, let's leave social media out of it. But even offline, these things go round. So the question is, how are we holding ourselves accountable? And it is also that sense of accountability that we unfortunately have as a people that has led us to where we are today, at various levels, at every level, and even at this religious level that you're talking about, where we have certain leaders who cannot address themselves or call themselves to to behave or say that, okay, you know what, I believe that this is wrong. You cannot say that the Holy Book says, okay, for blasphemy or for this particular reason, a life must be lost. So accountability is at the very heart of everything that we're talking about, either from their colleagues or from the general society as large. But until we understand that as a people, we need to have the culture of accountability, because even talking about government, we have people who are in elected offices. How accountable are we holding them? So having a strong sense of accountability at every level and understanding that it doesn't just stop at religion or religious leaders, but it also cascades to every part of our society.
I think
then
that's,
we will be able to address a lot of
I think
these
that's a tall order, because when we have a single religion saying this is a religion, and you've got different ideologies, sectarianisms.
Yeah.
This is what we believe in. This is how we want to believe. This is what we believe in, and then the division is just there.
You know, in my intro, I said there's a growing two things happened on the borders issue. One is religion. The second one is the growing culture of violence all over the world. It's not only in Nigeria. Just yesterday or 48 hours
A man
ago,
went into New York and started shooting.
So it fueled
supermarkets.
the existing notion of what is called fatwa. Fatwa is a judgment. So who passed fatwa on the world? Which also why I saying that who passed fatwa on now? There must be a spiritual leader who's going to say, okay, just like the case of Salman Rushdie in 1988 when he wrote the Satanic Book. Ayatollah of Iran passed a fatwa that, you know, this guy should be killed for what he has written. If you and that, don't let us run away from it, and don't let us run our country into crisis by saying that you want to change the orientation of over 100 million people. You are going to have a case of more Deborah if we want to take to the position of Deborah that we have to educate ourselves that see, people have not agreed on this matter. That if you say this, some people say you should be killed. So if you are a Christian, stay clear of it. And this peculiarity is what runs the nation. You can't go to a certain place. I'm not defending what has happened,
yeah,
but I'm just saying that the realistic way forward,
so, yeah, of course, to forestall
is to
like
forestall it. You can't go to India and say, cow, we use it for people who in Nigeria. That person will not come back with his life, because that's their own God.
The Hindus won't take it funny.
They won't take it funny. No matter how you try to make them look uncivilized, it's your business.
Just like somebody said, you can't go to Aba market and abuse Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes. So you have close to 1 billion people worshiping that religion, and cow is their supreme that they call to as their God. So on this matter too, the Buddha is not at fault.
Yeah.
We are at fault. We live in a nation where we don't want to admit the reality, and the reality is that we are different. Let us then analyze it. We are overanalyzing it. If you overanalyze an issue, you will be minoring in major, or you will be majoring in minor. Do depth analysis and go to practice. And the practice of this matter is that let us set a standard for ourselves. If you are in Yoruba land, you should understand that the way Yoruba people behave, this is it. If you are in the Igbo land, then if you are talking about religion, for me, when I go to hotels and I sleep, I am a Muslim. I will remove Bible from the shelf they put it and put it on the table, because in Quran you don't put something, in Muslims you don't put something on Quran. But when I see my Christian friends, I won't do that, because they say, what are you trying to do? It might be the sign that say I'm being hypocritical. That's not their own religion. So when you are coming to a religion where people have not agreed upon, you need to educate a society that there's a position has not been taken on this matter, and to such extent, stay away from it.
All right.
We killed Ebola.
So that's the point. Mutual suspicion. I mean, mutual respect for everyone's religion. So, in swift reaction, just the final thoughts. The government of Kaduna State banned all religious protests in the state. Sokoto State also declared a 24-hour curfew. Niger State also warned against, sued for calm. So, the lady's been buried. How do you describe government's handling of this volatile situation in the north so far?
Well, I think it is. We may commend it, but I believe it is also cosmetic. Because until there is justice seen to be done, because I keep saying it on this platform and every other one, that when bad behavior is not punished, it is rewarded. Because if there are no consequences for bad behavior, people will keep doing it. The question is, those who have done this and every other sort of crime, what has been done? Have examples been made? Because either you like it or not, if examples are not made of them, the people who were in support of them that were protesting will end up doing the same thing. Because, I mean, injustice there are no consequences anyway. So why can't we do our own version of it and get away with it? Clear signals need to be sent. And yes, we may be a nation of different languages, cultures, and
Beliefs.
different nations in between. But the question is this: as the Federal Republic of Nigeria, are we operating the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or we are operating a parallel one? These are the conversations that we need to have. Not just saying that.
That's,
okay,
that's
we're
been our
different
position.
people.
That's been our position too.
Yeah. So not just saying that.
That's been our position.
That maybe we're just different people, but we need to be able to say that, you know what, this is the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is the Constitution. This is the letter of the Constitution. This is what it says. These are the consequences for this kind of actions, and they must be taken to account.
Makes sense. Well, I'm afraid we just have to call it a wrap on the show this time, because we've actually made very, very important points on this issue. Strategy consultant Deborah Emmanuel, thank you so much. With that little time that you're able to meet up, and you made something very cogent to the matter. And public affairs analyst Razak Olokoba, thank you so much for your insight into this issue.